Okay, folks, we're creating a video for September 20th, which is my mom's birthday. Uh, and Steve Hart is here with me. What are you looking at, Steve?
The calendar.
Oh, okay.
The calendar's on the wall right here.
Okay. And the title that Steve selected for this video is I Feel Threatened. So I'm going to let you take it away, Mr. Magician. Give us your magic.
All right. I feel threatened. Do you feel threatened?
Some days more than others.
a lot of people feel threatened. The question is, what do we do with it, when we feel threatened? That's what I want to talk about today, because especially since we just recently had Hurricane Irma come through Florida, a lot of people were feel threatened, even to the point where, from what I understand, 7 million people evacuated the state of Florida, and or at least evacuated their homes. And I think that's obviously a reaction to whatever was happening. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody who left their homes made a mistake or wrong or anything like this, but I am wanting to address the fact that we have a tendency, when we feel threatened, I don't care if it's Irma or hurricane or the storms within our lives, we feel threatened and we react.
Well, because we feel powerless to make any positive changes.
That's exactly right. And when we feel threatened, the human mind commonly does what they call a fight or flight reaction, which is understandable. Don't get me wrong. I've done it myself. I still have to. I'm aware of those feelings and those thought patterns when they come to me. Right? So the question is, is there an alternative? And I believe that there is an alternative. The alternative is to not just listen to the logic of the mind, but listen to the heart, listen to the spirit within me, the divine spirit within me, to connect to my higher self. That is the secret. The secret is being able to connecting to your higher self, knowing who you are, and making better choices. So the problem is, and don't get me wrong, I understand the fight or flight thing has value to it, because it's all about helping us to survive. It's a survival mechanism. But instead of reacting to the feeling of anything threatening to you, if we can go within and find the peace of God within us, then we can choose, instead of reacting, to choose a response. So it's a conscious choice. Instead of reacting, we say, I'm going to make this choice. And this choice...
Yeah, I know, just to point a point of example, in the apartment complex here where I live, they came around to all of the tenants and suggested that the city had said there's supposed to be mandatory evacuation. They were going to provide no services during the storm. We were on our own. Most people in the apartment complex stayed put, didn't go anywhere. Some people I know actually went to the beach side to stay with relatives. And the beach side was supposed to be evacuated as well. So there's a lot of ironies that took place with this hurricane.
Yes, and you have to point out to the building you live in are seniors.
Yes, it's a senior center. I don't want people to know too much where I live. So.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that they're older people, so they see life a little bit differently. That's my point.
Yes.
Yes, and so because of it, that's why they may have made the choices. Just as there were a lot of part of Florida that was mandatory evacuation, and a lot of people stayed.
Well, ironically, one of my friends who lives in the complex here went to Tampa. and then when he saw that the hurricane was coming up that way, he came back.
Well,
he drove 3 hours over there and 3 hours back.
And I also can tell you stories of friends of mine who went north, went up into the Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, wherever, and they found terrible experiences on the road. They ran out of gas. They couldn't find gas, couldn't find a hotel to stay in. All the rooms were booked up, bumper to bumper. I mean, what they experienced, oh my God, I wouldn't want to have to experience that unless that's what Spirit was telling me to do. If that was my response instead of my reaction. And that's what I'm trying to say is the fact that we as humans have a common reaction to either fight or flight. Now, here again, like I say, I'm not against that, because I believe, well, let's put it this way: fight or flight is coming from a place of fear. That's what you're holding. That's what that energy is. If you can come to a place of love, then you can understand how your security or your protection is within that love. And in that love will give you wisdom to make the better choices, to know the choice, either to stay or to leave, or to, just to stay or to leave in this case situation, or just to stand, So I want to go back to.
I know you have some scriptures that you want to share.
Yeah,
with us.
I want to share some scriptures here a little bit, and you and I have our opinions about the scriptures in the Bible, but if the words of Jesus, as we find them in the scripture, are true, and the stories, then I want to use them to bring some light to this. The first thing I want to bring out is a story when Jesus is in the boat with his disciples and he falls asleep, and a storm came up over the lake, to the point where it says they were in jeopardy, where they were in danger. And they went and they woke Jesus up, and he spoke to the winds, to the storm, and the calmness came over, and they in awe went, well, who is this man? They still didn't know who he was. They were in awe, and he says to them, ye of little faith. And faith in the Greek word, that word faith, means the conviction of truth of anything. It's your belief. So whatever your convictions are. So here's my opinion about this. If now you may say, well, can I speak to that hurricane and tell it to stop? Well, in some ways it did, friends, because it didn't go where they said it was going to go.
It wasn't a Category 7.
5.
Well, some news broadcasters were calling it a Category 7.
Well, there you go. Okay. They can call it whatever they want. I do believe that the media sensationalized it a lot. Some people say, well, they need to get people to move out of the way to protect themselves. And I understand there's a balance in all this. But I know for myself and for your listeners, I'm going to say, when you're feeling threatened by anything, I don't care what it is, if it's an earthquake, if it's a tornado or a hurricane, or the storms in your life, you're being threatened, you're going to lose your job, or you're threatened that your health is poor, that you've been diagnosed with some terrible disease, you feel threatened. You have to go within and connect, because these things don't happen by happenstance. And these things, meaning there is meaning behind everything. Now, I believe personally that the hurricanes that we've been experiencing is all about helping everybody wake up to their true selves, because this year compared to last year, when we were threatened by Hurricane Matthew, people reacted a little bit more in a higher level of awareness this year than they did in a year ago. A lot of people, we were extremely afraid, and there's a lot of reaction going on. And this one was even a bigger storm and more threatening, and yet more people, I heard them saying on Facebook and in their conversations, they were going within and connecting and deciding what they wanted to do. And a lot of people end up staying, and the damage here was minimal. Now, I'm still haven't got the full report about what happened in other parts of the country, and the Keys and so forth. But
in northern Brevard County, it was a lot worse than it was down in the southern part of the county.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw 150 pictures from Florida today of the hurricane damage, and the most heavily hit area was Mims and Titusville. Mims especially.
Well, what was interesting is they said it was going to come up the East Coast and go up to the Gulf. What ended up happening was, as it came close to Tampa, it came across the state and went on up towards Jacksonville, which is what you're describing. By this time, before that even happened, I'd already got my piece. I went to bed at 11:30 or so that night. Woke up the next morning, slept well, and it was already over by then, so we went right up over us. You're right. The eye went right up through us. I'm not
bragging. Did you lose power?
Only for like an hour, from what I understand. I only found that out because my neighbor told me that. I only lost power for an hour. Now, it took me a week to get back to my internet, but that's another whole other story. The point I'm making is that I have found a peace within myself, was able to sleep in that. Now this is my experience. I'm explaining my experience. But I have this strong conviction to believe that we have the ability to speak to these storms, to these things that are threatening to us, that we have the power within us to actually speak as Jesus did. And that's what he's trying to say to us. Now,
well, I do. You know John Springer.
Yes.
He recommends putting a dome, over your home. And I know people that did that in various storms.
You talking about a real dome or
an ethereal dome?
Yeah. Okay. Go.
In the spirit, you imagine a dome of protection over your property. And I've known people that have done that, and their homes were untouched while homes all around them were devastated.
Yeah.
So there's some truth in it, but it doesn't seem to work for everybody.
Well, this is not a matter of judgment about who it works for and who it doesn't work for.
I'm not judging anybody either.
I know, but what one person would say was, your house is gone, my house is still standing, therefore you didn't do it right. Well, that's not what we're trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is, because I don't care if it was my house that was taken down or that I lost my life, I'm still in this divine presence of God, because that's what I'm seeking in physical form. I'm not reacting to what's being threatened out here, because in this world you're going to be threatened. You're constantly going to be threatened. The question is, what do you do with it? So let me take you now to the scripture in Matthew 6, which is a very, very popular area, where Jesus says, why do you worry that you can add one day to your life? This is in 6:27. He says, why are you worrying? And of course, the King James says 1 cubit to your stature. But that's what it means. In the Greek, it means, to be add any measurement to your life. And he says, you worry about this, you worry about that. You worry about what you're going to eat. You worry about what you're going to drink. You worry about what your clothing. And he says, do you not believe that God is taking care of your needs? Now, either we believe this or we don't believe what he's saying here. But he does make some points here. And he says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. In other words, you'll be taken care of. You have to either believe this, or you're going to have to, this is where your measurement of faith comes in. And then he concludes in verse 34 by saying, therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. So basically what he's really saying to people is to stay in the now moment, in your mind, in your awareness, and not project, oh my gosh, this thing's coming at me, it's going to kill me, it's going to do all this destruction. Not that it can or cannot, but you have to stay in the now moment, because that is where the peace of God is. And you have to decide in the now moment, what am I going to do? What are my choices here?
But see, part of my problem is I don't look for a kingdom of heaven somewhere else. I look for heaven to manifest on earth.
Right. It is here on earth. Yeah, right. It is.
Manifest, and that means there'll be peace. That means that all the bullshit will be taken away. The people that spread the lies and everything will no longer be able to dominate.
The more we wake up to who we really are, that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
Now let me continue on.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, you're
this
right.
is a touchy subject for me.
Yeah, I know it is. It's for all
a
of
lot
us.
of people.
Deep down inside, we feel this threatening experience, and it's all about this fear helps wake us up as to who we truly are. So that's why this is all good. Now, I want to go talk about in the book of Ephesians, where Paul is talking to the Christians, and he's trying to get them to understand about how to deal with the conflicts, or he refers to it as the trickery of the devil, or the accuser.
Or the dichotomy of our personal experience.
Okay. In Ephesians 6:11, he goes, put on the whole armor of God, that you'll be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And the wiles is the trickery of the devil, and that Greek word there is the accuser. So I don't care who it is that's making the accusations against you, and whatever trickery that they're using, you can stand against them. And the word against means to not resist against them. It means to stand in the midst of whatever it is that you're being presented with. There's a difference. In other words, the against means, the word against here is in English, in the actual Greek means to join with them in that present moment. So it doesn't mean project or run away or fight or resist. It means to stand. And then he goes into the full description, and Paul does it well, of describing what the armor of God is. And he ends it up by saying, always praying and being watchful. Notice he says being watchful until the end. So here again, it's all about coming back into the now moment and learning how to stand, to stay balanced. Notice he did not say, and then go out and fight. He didn't say that.
Yeah,
he didn't say that.
I know people that want to take up arms against the government and stuff like that. That's insane.
Yeah. But even with our words, we still have a tendency to want to fight with our words. And what we need is to proclaim the truth instead of being critical. And we need to actually speak the truth to what is. So here's the truth as I see it. Be it that the world says differently, I'm going to speak the truth as I see it. And the truth is that I am a sovereign being, spiritual being, living in human form. And I have the ability to speak to whatever is threatening me and to alter that and change it. Now, some people say, you're freaking crazy. You know, who are you to think you can do this? And,
well, you are a magician.
Yeah, but there's one thing, what I do with my sleight of hand to create an illusion. And then there's the other aspect of it. We're all magicians. We're all wizards in the sense that we are able to create and to manifest things. Because we are creators. We are actually creating our own realities as we are in this present moment, as we become aware of who we are. So either we play the place of the victim, or we take up courage, which does take responsibility of courage of stepping forward and moving into the fact that we don't have to be the victim, and to have the courage to be able to connect and put our faith in our higher self and listen with our heart what it is speaking to us.
Not easy sometimes.
No, it's not.
There are moments in my own life that, I have felt so connected, so absolutely connected, so at peace. What really destroyed that was when they came and they took my home away.
I understand that.
That was the straw.
But right now, but look where you're at now. See, I understand that. That was back then. Look at right now. Right now, you're at a most beautiful place, and because I've been to your home there, and you're happy. You're happy where you're at right now. You got your parking spot.
I'm reasonably content. I wouldn't call it happy.
Well, the point I'm making is that you're being provided for, and these are choices that you made. And so yes, it's not everything is to make in your favor. There is a resistance. You are being that's coming towards you. You're being threatened. There's no question about that. Everybody's being threatened. And that's why I'm trying to say, instead of doing the fight or flight or to push back, we need to understand who we are and claim our power. So, and as I said, I agree that people may think this is crazy, but let me tell you, this is where the peace of God is. If you want to know where the peace of God is, it's only by going within and connecting to your higher self and listening and put your faith in that which you're hearing and not in what the logical mind wants to tell you or the world is trying to tell you. It's a challenge.
Yeah. It is a challenge.
Yeah. But that's why we need to pray and meditate and also connect with other people like we do and to support one another, because this is needed. There's no question about it. We're not in this by ourselves. When I talk about my spiritual being, it's part of the collective of all spiritual beings, which includes all of you.
Yeah, as I said in my video that I made earlier this morning, I laid in bed from around 4 o'clock till almost 5 o'clock. It was just a couple minutes before 5 when I finally got up to go to the bathroom. But anyway, I laid there and I was in meditation, contemplation, prayer, the whole time, rehashing the video that I had watched just before I went to bed, which I was rehashing that same video before I fell asleep. So it's a challenge to stay centered and on point. And I mean, I know you've had your challenges in the same area from time to time. I mean, you weren't ready to make a video when I reached out, whenever it was. You weren't in a place where you could do that.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I do it whether I feel like it or not, because it's a commitment every day, regardless.
Well, I could have done the video for you, but just probably wouldn't have been as you're right. I could have made the video, but I chose not to. So you asked me. So.
Yeah. Well, I hope Aristo gets his computer issues straightened out so that he and I can go back to making videos, because he always provides, as you do and as others do, food for thought. So anyway.
Well, I hope that your listeners are going to find this challenge of not reacting helpful to go within and to connect, because I'm experiencing it. I know other people are experiencing it, and you can too. And everybody can experience this peace of God within us in the midst of the fact when we're being threatened. And as you said earlier, before we made the video, we have other hurricanes coming towards us right now, which is kind of ironic, because we've gone for several years here in Florida without any hurricanes threatening to
till last year.
Yeah, right. So anyway, the point is I don't care if it's a hurricane, like I said, or whatever it is in your life. Everybody's feeling threatened, and so be of courage, and trust spirit. Connect to your higher self. When I refer to God, I'm referring to your connection to your higher self, because that is your only true connection, or as Jesus referred to it as the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Divine Spirit within you, which is giving you life. And as long as you have life and you're alive, it is available to you.
Okay. Are we finished for this video?
I think so.
Okay, well then, that's usually people go over the 30 minutes, but you went under it, and that's fine.
Well, I used to work in television. I know what a minute is. A lot of people don't know what minute or 10 minutes is, but I know we went under, but that's okay. I figured.
Yeah, I try to keep mine, as you know, now to 10 minutes. I didn't used to, but yeah, right. I've been for quite a while doing the 10-minute thing, and I don't always do 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 7 or 8.
Hey, as long as you get the job done.
Anyway, thank you, Steve, and namaste, and thank you all for listening.
God bless.